The morning sky above Colorado turned black as death itself. Admiral Jake Harrison pressed his face against the reinforced glass of the NORAD command center and watched 9,900 alien ships blot out the sun. Each vessel stretched longer than 3 football fields and hung in the air like floating cities of metal and hate. The coffee cup in his hand trembled slightly as he counted the endless rows of enemy ships spreading across every horizon. Jake had been preparing for this moment his entire military career, but nothing could have readied him for the sheer, overwhelming sight of the Korthic invasion fleet. The aliens had arrived without warning just after dawn, and their ships now covered the skies above every major city on Earth. New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow, Beijing all reported the same terrifying sight of alien vessels blocking out the morning light. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Sullivan burst through the command center doors with sweat beading on her forehead despite the cool mountain air. She was Jake's wife of 15 years and one of the finest tactical minds in the Earth Defense Corps. Amy had been coordinating ground forces from the lower levels when the first alien ships appeared on radar screens across the globe. "Jake, we have confirmation from all major cities," Amy said as she approached the central command console. "The aliens are holding position above population centers, but they haven't started attacking yet. Our satellites show similar formations on every continent." Jake nodded grimly and activated the global communication network. His voice would reach every military installation on Earth within seconds. "This is Admiral Harrison to all Earth defense Corps units. Code Black is now in effect. Repeat, Code Black is active. All hidden installations are authorized to power up and prepare for combat operations. High above Earth's atmosphere aboard the massive flagship Dominion's Edge, Admiral Vexthan of the Korthic hegemony studied holographic displays showing the primitive planet below. His scaled hands moved across control surfaces as he reviewed intelligence reports from the 847 worlds his people had conquered before arriving at this unremarkable blue sphere in a distant corner of the galaxy. Vexthan's golden eyes gleamed with satisfaction as he observed the human cities sprawling beneath his fleet. The reconnaissance drones had reported correctly. These humans possessed only primitive nuclear weapons and crude chemical rockets. Their largest military vessels barely qualified as patrol boats compared to Korthic destroyers. This conquest would be completed within 3 planetary rotations, possibly less. The Korthic admiral touched a communication panel and his voice echoed through every ship in the invasion fleet. "Fleet commanders, prepare for planetary bombardment. Standard subjugation protocol will commence in 1 human hour. Leave the industrial centers intact but destroy all military installations. These primitives will serve the hegemony as all others have before them." Back on Earth, Captain Lisa Park sprinted across the hidden lunar facility known as Darkside Station. The base had been constructed in secret over the past 20 years, carved deep into the moon's far side where Earth's enemies could never detect it. Lisa commanded a squadron of 12 modified asteroid mining ships that had been secretly converted into combat vessels. Her crew scrambled to their stations as red warning lights bathed the underground hangar in crimson light. The mining ships looked nothing like traditional military vessels. Their hulls were covered in industrial equipment, and their weapons were disguised as ore processing systems. But Lisa knew these ungainly craft packed more firepower than anything the Korthic expected to encounter. "All units, this is Park," Lisa spoke into her helmet communicator as she climbed into her command ship's pilot seat. "Remember what we trained for? Hit them hard and fast, then scatter before they can coordinate a response. Make every shot count because we might not get a second chance." Meanwhile, in the skies above New Mexico, Lieutenant Kate Harrison pulled her F-35 fighter into a steep climb as she raced to intercept the alien formation above Albuquerque. Kate was Jake's daughter and one of the youngest pilots ever accepted into the Earth Defense Corps' elite squadron. She had inherited her father's tactical mind and her mother's stubborn refusal to back down from any fight. Kate's radar screen showed dozens of smaller alien craft deploying from the massive ships overhead. The enemy fighters were sleek and fast, clearly designed for atmospheric combat. But Kate had spent her entire life flying in Earth's varied conditions, and she knew her home skies better than any alien pilot ever could. Phoenix Squadron, form. Up on my wing, Kate called to her fellow pilots over the radio. We're going to show these invaders what human pilots can do. Stay close and watch each other's backs. Deep beneath the Colorado mountains, engineer Ben Carter and Dr. Helen Wright worked frantically in the secret laboratory known as Site-7. They had been analyzing fragments of alien technology recovered from crashed scout ships over the past 5 years. Ben specialized in reverse engineering foreign technology, while Helen's expertise in quantum physics had proven invaluable in understanding alien power systems. "Helen, look at these energy readings," Ben called out as he studied glowing displays showing the alien fleet's power signatures. Their ships are generating massive amounts of energy, but it's all focused on weapons and shields. They're not scanning for hidden installations or checking for technological surprises. Helen nodded as she cross-referenced Ben's data with her own analysis of alien communication frequencies. They're overconfident. Ben, the Korthic think we're primitives who couldn't possibly threaten their advanced technology. That arrogance might be exactly what we need to turn this fight around. The first shots of the invasion came without warning. Brilliant beams of energy lanced down from the alien ships, striking military bases, communication towers, and government buildings around the world. The Korthic bombardment was precise and devastating, designed to cripple human resistance before ground forces landed to secure the planet. But as the alien weapons fire rained down on Earth's surface, something unexpected happened. Hidden defense platforms that had been disguised as communication satellites suddenly activated, revealing powerful energy weapons of their own. Concealed bases buried deep in mountains and ocean floors powered up massive railguns and particle beam arrays that had been constructed in secret over decades of preparation. Admiral Vexton watched his tactical displays with growing confusion as hundreds of previously undetected human installations came online simultaneously. The primitive planet was revealing military capabilities that his intelligence reports had never mentioned. Energy signatures were appearing on sensors across every continent, showing weapon systems that rivaled Korthic technology. Jake Harrison smiled grimly as reports flooded into NORAD from hidden bases worldwide. The orbital platforms were engaging alien ships with surprising effectiveness. The concealed lunar installations were launching their first wave of converted mining vessels. And most importantly, the aliens were discovering that Earth had been preparing for this invasion much longer than anyone could have imagined. The battle for Earth had begun, and the Korthic hegemony was about to learn their first hard lesson about underestimating humanity. The first alien ship to fall crashed into the Pacific Ocean with a thunderous splash that sent waves racing toward the Hawaiian coastline. Captain Lisa Park watched from her command ship as the Korthic destroyer broke apart in the atmosphere, its hull glowing white-hot from the impact of her squadron's modified mining lasers. The alien vessel had expected to face primitive human weapons, but instead encountered industrial cutting beams that could slice through asteroid rock like butter. Lisa's converted mining ship looked nothing like a military vessel as it drifted through space above Earth. Her hull was covered in or processing equipment and cargo, containers that hid the most advanced weapons humanity had ever built. The Korthic sensors read her ship as a simple industrial craft right up until the moment her disguised lasers punched through their shields and armor plating. "Target down," Lisa reported over the encrypted communication channel. "All units. The alien shields can't handle sustained industrial laser fire. Keep hitting them with everything we've got." Back on Earth, engineer Ben Carter sprinted through the underground corridors of Site-7, carrying a briefcase full of alien technology fragments. He had been working without sleep for 18 hours straight, desperately trying to understand how Korthic systems operated. Ben's team had salvaged pieces from the first crashed alien fighter, and he was amazed at how different their approach to technology really was. Dr. Helen Wright met Ben at the laboratory entrance, her usually perfect hair disheveled from hours of intense research. She held a tablet displaying energy patterns that made no sense according to human physics. Ben, look at this, Helen said as she showed him the glowing screen. The aliens use quantum field manipulation for everything. Their weapons, their shields, even their communication systems all operate on the same basic principle. Ben examined the data while simultaneously working on a damaged piece of alien circuitry. His engineering background told him that the Korthek had built their technology to be efficient and standardized across their entire fleet. Helen, this is actually good news for us, Ben said as he connected human testing equipment to the alien device. If all their systems work the same way, then anything we learn about one piece of their technology applies to everything else they have. 3 time zones away in downtown Detroit, Marine Colonel Pete Johnson crouched behind an overturned city bus as alien ground forces advanced down the main street. The Korthek soldiers moved in perfect formation, their energy weapons sweeping back and forth as they searched for human resistance fighters. Pete had 40 Marines scattered throughout the surrounding buildings, each armed with weapons that the aliens would never expect. Pete spoke quietly into his radio headset as he watched the enemy troops approach his position. Remember what we practiced, people. These aliens have never faced guerrilla warfare before. Use that against them. The first surprise came when construction worker Tony Phillips activated a modified bulldozer that had been hidden in a nearby building site. The heavy machinery roared to life and crashed through the wall, its blade reinforced with steel plating and its cabin protected by welded metal sheets. The alien soldiers turned their weapons toward this unexpected threat, but their energy beams barely scratched the bulldozer's improvised armor. As the aliens focused on the charging construction equipment, Pete's Marines opened fire from concealed positions throughout the surrounding buildings. They weren't using standard military weapons. Instead, they fired modified nail guns loaded with steel spikes, launched industrial chemicals from crop dusting equipment, and dropped improvised explosives made from farming fertilizer and diesel fuel. The Korthek ground forces had conquered hundreds of worlds, but they had never encountered an enemy that turned everyday human tools into deadly weapons. Their tactical computers couldn't analyze threats that didn't exist in any military database. A garbage truck became a mobile fortress, kitchen chemicals became corrosive attacks, and civilian drones swarmed their positions like angry metal wasps. High above the city, Commander Rick Torres pulled his modified F-35 fighter into a sharp turn that would have been impossible for any alien pilot to match. Rick had grown up flying crop dusters on his family's farm in Kansas, and he understood aircraft control in a way that went beyond technical training. While the Korthek pilots relied on computer systems to guide their movements, Rick flew by instinct and feel the alien fighter pursuing. Rick couldn't understand why the human pilot was making such seemingly random course changes. Korthek tactical doctrine called for efficient flight paths calculated by onboard computers. But Rick's erratic movements were based on 30 years of flying through Kansas thunderstorms, dodging power lines, and navigating by landmarks that only existed in his memory. Rick waited until the alien pilot committed to an attack run, then suddenly cut his engine power and deployed his aircraft's air brakes. The alien fighter shot past him at full speed, unable to adjust quickly enough to match Rick's sudden deceleration. Rick restarted his engine and fell in behind the confused Korthek pilot, his targeting system locking onto the alien ship's exhaust ports. Fox 2, Rick called out as he fired a modified air-to-air missile. The weapon wasn't designed to penetrate alien armor. Instead, it released a cloud of metallic chaff that clogged the enemy fighter's air intakes and caused its engines to fail. The Korthek pilot ejected as his ship spiraled toward the ground, completely bewildered by tactics that no military academy had ever taught. Back at NORAD, Admiral Jake Harrison studied incoming reports from battlefields around the world. The initial alien bombardment had caused significant damage to military installations, but human forces were adapting faster than the Korthek had anticipated. Hidden bases were coming online every hour, revealing weapons and capabilities that Earth's enemies had never suspected. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Sullivan approached Jake's command station with a tablet showing global tactical updates. Her ground Forces were reporting successful engagements in every major city where alien troops had landed. "Jake, the aliens are having trouble adapting to our tactics," Amy reported. "They keep expecting us to fight like a conventional military force, but we're using everything from farm equipment to kitchen supplies as weapons." Jake nodded as he watched real-time footage from Detroit showing Pete Johnson's Marines using a street sweeper truck to scatter alien infantry formations. The Korthik soldiers couldn't understand why humans were attacking them with municipal maintenance equipment, and their confusion was costing them the initiative in urban combat. The most encouraging news came from Dr. Helen Wright's research team. They had successfully hacked into a captured alien communication device and were beginning to understand how the Korthik command structure operated. The aliens relied heavily on centralized control systems that coordinated their fleet movements and ground operations. "If we can disrupt their communication network," Helen explained over the secure video link, "their individual units won't be able to adapt to changing battlefield conditions. They'll be stuck following their original battle plan even when it's obviously failing." Jake smiled as he realized that humanity's greatest strength was becoming apparent. While the Korthak had superior technology and overwhelming numbers, humans possessed something their enemies lacked: the ability to think creatively under pressure and adapt to unexpected situations. The invasion was entering its second day, and the aliens were discovering that conquering Earth would be much more difficult than their previous campaigns. Humanity was fighting back with every tool, weapon, and piece of equipment they could find, turning the entire planet into one massive, improvised battlefield. 3 months had passed since the first alien ships darkened Earth's skies, and the war had taken a turn that no Korthik commander could have predicted. Admiral Vexton stood before the tactical display aboard his flagship, watching red warning symbols spread across the holographic map of Earth. Nearly 2,000 of his ships had been destroyed or severely damaged, and human resistance was growing stronger with each passing day. Instead of weaker, the humans refused to surrender despite massive casualties in their major cities. Their military commanders continued broadcasting defiant messages even after their official government buildings had been reduced to rubble. Most disturbing of all, human forces were somehow capturing and using Korthik technology against the invasion fleet with increasing effectiveness. News anchor Claire Rogers broadcast from a hidden television studio deep beneath the ruins of Atlanta, her voice reaching millions of humans worldwide through encrypted satellite networks that the aliens couldn't locate or jam. Claire had been reporting the war since the first day of invasion, and her daily broadcasts had become a symbol of human determination to resist alien occupation. "This is Claire Rogers with the Underground News Network," she announced to cameras that transmitted her image to hidden receivers across the planet. "Today marks day 91 of the alien invasion, and I have remarkable news to share with all free humans still fighting for our world." Claire held up a tablet showing footage of destroyed alien ships floating in Earth's oceans. The images came from submarines and underwater drones that had been documenting the growing number of Korthik vessels being shot down by human forces. "Our brave defenders have now destroyed over 2,000 enemy ships," Claire continued. "The aliens came here expecting an easy victory, but they're learning that humanity doesn't know how to quit." Deep in the underground research facility known as Site 7, Dr. Gary Stone worked frantically at a computer terminal surrounded by captured alien communication equipment. Gary was Earth's leading expert in computer viruses and cyber warfare, and he had spent the past months studying how Korthak information systems operated. His discovery would change the entire course of the war. "Helen, come look at this," Gary called to Dr. Helen Wright, who was examining alien power systems at a nearby workstation. "I've figured out how their fleet communication network functions. Every ship in their fleet is connected to a central command system that coordinates their movements and tactical decisions." Helen rushed over to Gary's station and studied the data flowing across his screens. The information showed a complex web of quantum communication links connecting every Korthik vessel to Admiral Vexton's flagship. "Gary, this is incredible." Helen said as she understood the implications. If we can introduce a virus into their network, it would spread to every ship in their fleet automatically. Gary smiled as he showed Helen the computer program he had been developing. I've created something special for our alien friends. This virus doesn't just disrupt their systems, it makes their ships vulnerable to our weapons by disabling their shields and jamming their targeting computers at the worst possible moments. The virus would be delivered through captured alien communication arrays that Gary's team had been secretly modifying. Once the program entered the Korthik network, it would hide itself in routine system updates and spread throughout their entire fleet without being detected until it was too late. Above the Earth's surface, Commander Sarah Blake prepared for the most dangerous mission of her military career. Sarah commanded a team of specialists that included computer expert Tony Phillips, explosive specialist Mary Jackson, and infiltration expert Carl Davis. Their target was the massive Korthak flagship Dominion's Edge, the nerve center of the entire alien invasion fleet. Sarah's team had spent weeks planning this raid using intelligence gathered from captured alien equipment and prisoners. They knew the flagship's layout, security procedures, and most importantly, the location of its central computer core where Gary Stone's virus could be uploaded directly into the alien command network. Remember, we're not just going there to steal information, Sarah told her team as they prepared their infiltration gear. We're going to leave a message that these aliens will never forget. By the time we're done, every ship in their fleet will know exactly what happens when you try to conquer humanity. The team launched from a hidden base on the moon using a captured alien transport that had been modified with human stealth technology. The Korthik sensors identified their ship as a routine supply vessel returning from a planetary raid, allowing Sarah's team to dock with the flagship without raising any alarms. Mary Jackson moved carefully through the alien ship's corridors, placing small explosive devices in critical locations throughout the vessel. Her charges weren't designed to destroy the flagship. Instead, they would disable specific systems and create diversions that would help the team escape after completing their mission. Tony Phillips connected his modified laptop to alien computer terminals as the team made their way toward the central command center. Each connection allowed him to map the Korthik network and identify the best insertion point for Gary Stone's virus. Sarah, their security is incredible, but they never expected anyone to attack them from the inside, Tony whispered through his helmet. Communicator. The team reached the flagship's command center during the alien equivalent of a night shift when only essential personnel were on duty. Carl Davis used knockout gas to neutralize the Korthik technicians while Sarah and Tony accessed the central computer core. The virus upload would take 15 minutes to complete, during which time they were completely exposed to discovery. As Tony's laptop transferred Gary Stone's devastating program into the alien network, Sarah planted something else in the flagship's computer systems: detailed recordings of human military capabilities, tactical analyses of every major battle, and footage of destroyed Korthik ships that proved humanity was far from defeated. The virus began spreading through the Korthik fleet immediately, hiding itself in routine communication updates between ships. Within hours, every vessel in the invasion force would be infected with a program designed to turn their own technology against them. But more importantly, the flagship's computers now contained a complete record of human resistance that would be transmitted to every Korthik world when the surviving ships eventually retreated. Mary Jackson triggered her diversionary explosives as the team prepared to escape from the flagship. The charges disabled the ship's internal security systems and created confusion among the alien crew, allowing Sarah's team to reach their captured transport and escape back to the lunar base. Admiral Vexton discovered the infiltration too late to prevent it. His flagship's computer systems had been compromised, and unknown programs were already spreading throughout his fleet's communication network. Worse still, the humans had somehow accessed classified Korthak databases and stolen information about the hegemony's military capabilities and territorial holdings. As alien ships began experiencing mysterious system failures across the fleet, Vexling realized that the humans had just demonstrated something that would terrify the Korthik hegemony. They could strike at the heart of alien technology and turn it against its creators. The war for Earth was no longer about conquest, it had become a fight for survival. The alien flagship Dominion's Edge exploded in brilliant white light as its reactor core overloaded from Gary Stone's virus. Admiral Vexton watched in horror from his escape pod as the massive ship that had led the conquest of 800 worlds broke apart in Earth's upper atmosphere. The computer virus had spread through every system aboard his flagship, turning the vessel's own technology into a weapon against itself. Captain Danny Lee smiled grimly as he watched the alien command ship's destruction from the bridge of his converted mining vessel Iron Will. Danny had been hunting fleeing Korthik ships for the past 2 weeks, and each kill felt like payback for the human cities that lay in ruins on Earth's surface. His crew of former asteroid miners had become some of the most effective alien hunters in the human fleet. "Target destroyed," Danny reported over the communication network that connected all human forces. "That's the third command ship we've taken down this week. These aliens are learning what happens when they mess with Earth." The Iron Will looked nothing like a traditional warship as it drifted through the debris field where the Korthik flagship had been destroyed. Danny's vessel was covered in mining equipment and industrial machinery that hid the most advanced weapons humanity had ever built. The aliens never realized they were under attack until his disguised particle beam cutters tore through their hull plating far below on Earth's surface. Dr. Alice Foster studied data streams flowing through her laboratory computers in the hidden research facility beneath Denver. Alice specialized in xenobiology, and she had made a discovery that would change how humans fought the remaining alien forces. After months of studying captured Korthik prisoners and technology, she had identified a critical weakness in alien psychology and tactics. "They can't adapt," Alice explained to Admiral Jake Harrison during a secure video conference from NORAD. "The Korthik have conquered hundreds of worlds using the same tactical playbook every single time. They rely on overwhelming force and rigid military doctrine because it's always worked before. But when they encounter something unexpected, they don't know how to change their approach." Jake leaned forward in his command chair as he absorbed the implications of Alice's research. "You're saying that if we keep changing our tactics, the aliens literally can't keep up with us?" Alice nodded as she shared her analysis with commanders around the world. "Exactly. Their entire military system is built around following predetermined strategies. When those strategies fail, individual Korthak units can't improvise or adapt to new situations. They just keep following their original orders even when it's obviously not working." This discovery explained why human forces had been so successful despite being outnumbered and outgunned. Every human commander from Marine squads to fleet admirals had been constantly developing new tactics and strategies, keeping the aliens in a state of permanent confusion. The Korthik simply couldn't match humanity's ability to think creatively under pressure. In the bombed-out remains of Chicago, Sergeant Nina Ross led her urban warfare unit through streets that had been transformed into elaborate death traps for alien ground forces. Nina's people had spent weeks turning the entire downtown area into a maze of hidden tunnels, concealed weapons, and improvised obstacles that would channel alien troops into carefully prepared kill zones. The Korthik ground forces advancing through Chicago moved in perfect formation just as their military doctrine required. Their tactical computers had calculated the most efficient route through the human city, but they couldn't account for the fact that Nina's people had been modifying that route for weeks. Every street corner held a surprise, and every building concealed a threat. "Here they come," Nina whispered into her radio as alien soldiers approached the intersection where her people had been waiting. The Korthik troops moved like robots, following their predetermined path without considering that humans might have turned their route into a trap. Construction worker Bill Murphy triggered the first surprise from his hidden position in a damaged office building. A modified crane suddenly swung a wrecking ball into the middle of the alien formation, scattering soldiers and destroying their communication equipment. Before the aliens could regroup, delivery trucks that had been converted into mobile weapons. Platforms emerged from concealed positions throughout the area. The human vehicles looked like ordinary civilian equipment, but their cargo beds held everything from modified industrial welders to farming equipment that shot high-pressure streams of corrosive chemicals. The alien soldiers had never encountered enemies who used city maintenance equipment as military weapons, and their tactical computers couldn't analyze threats that didn't exist in any database. As the battle raged in Chicago's streets, Nina's forces demonstrated the same principle that was working across every battlefield on Earth. The humans constantly changed their tactics, used unexpected weapons, and fought from positions that alien doctrine said were impossible to defend. The Korthik troops couldn't adapt fast enough to counter strategies that changed from minute to minute high above the planet. Admiral Jake Harrison coordinated the final phase of humanity's counterattack from his command ship in Earth orbit. The converted mining vessel had originally been designed to process asteroids, but Jake's engineers had transformed it into a mobile command center equipped with the most advanced communication systems humanity possessed. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Sullivan approached Jake's command station with updates from ground commanders worldwide. Her tablet showed tactical reports from every major city where alien forces had landed, and the news was better than they had dared to hope. Jake, enemy ground forces are retreating from every urban center, Amy reported. They're trying to regroup at their landing sites, but our people are harassing them every step of the way. The alien retreat wasn't organized or strategic, it was a panicked flight by forces that no longer understood what they were fighting against. Korthak units that had conquered dozens of worlds were being outfought by human civilians using farming equipment, construction machinery, and improvised weapons that no military academy had ever taught them to counter. From orbit, Jake could see the lights of alien ships preparing to leave Earth's atmosphere as their ground invasion collapsed completely. The Korthik fleet had been reduced to fewer than 800 vessels, and many of those were too damaged to fight effectively. Admiral Vexton was learning the same lesson that every human enemy had discovered throughout history: underestimating humanity was a fatal mistake, but Jake wasn't planning to let the aliens simply leave and report back to their superiors. Earth's hidden orbital installations had been mining the space around the planet for months, creating a gauntlet of defensive platforms and hidden weapon systems that would ensure very few Korthak ships escaped to tell their story. The hunters had become the hunted, and humanity was about to teach the galaxy a lesson about the price of threatening Earth. The aliens had come expecting an easy conquest, but they were about to learn that attacking humanity's homeworld was the last mistake they would ever make. The last 17 Korthik ships limped away from Earth's solar system, carrying the most terrifying cargo in the galaxy's history. Each vessel bore scars from humanity's weapons and contained survivors who had witnessed something that would haunt their nightmares forever. They had seen a primitive species transform from prey to predator in the span of 6 months, turning the hunters into the hunted with ruthless efficiency. Captain Roy Brooks watched the fleeing alien ships from the bridge of his captured Korthak dreadnought Vengeance. The massive vessel had been the pride of the alien fleet until Roy's boarding party seized control and turned its weapons against its former allies. Now the ship served as humanity's first alien technology warship, a symbol of how completely the tables had turned in this war. Roy could have destroyed every one of the retreating ships with a single weapon salvo, but his orders were specific. These 17 vessels needed to survive their journey home to deliver humanity's message to the Korthik hegemony. Earth wanted the aliens to know exactly what was coming for them in the months and years ahead. Captain, we're receiving the final transmission from Admiral Harrison. Communication Officer Linda Clark reported from her station. All human forces are to allow the marked ships to depart without interference. The message has been loaded into their systems and will transmit automatically when they reach Korthik space. Roy nodded as he watched the alien survivors disappear into the darkness between stars. Each of those ships carried detailed recordings of their defeat, tactical analyses of human capabilities, and most importantly, a promise from Admiral Jake Harrison that Earth remembered every world the Korthik had conquered. Humanity was coming to liberate them all. Commander Kelly Adams coordinated the final pursuit from her modified fighter craft as human ships shadowed the retreating aliens to the edge of the solar system. Kelly's squadron had been responsible for ensuring the Korthik survivors reached their destination with the message intact. Her pilots had carefully disabled rather than destroyed the fleeing ships, leaving them functional enough to make the journey home but too damaged to pose any threat. "This is Adams to all pursuit units," Kelly announced over the communication network. "The package has been delivered successfully. 17 ships are departing with our gift to the Korthik hegemony. Return to base and prepare for the next phase of operations." The gift Kelly referred to was more than just a warning message. Engineer Don Parker and his team had modified the fleeing ships' communication systems to broadcast continuously once they reached alien territory. Every Korthik world would receive detailed footage of human forces systematically dismantling their invasion fleet, along with tactical data proving that humanity possessed technology and capabilities far beyond what any species should have developed. In such a short time, back on Earth, the planet buzzed with reconstruction activity as humanity prepared for the next stage of their war against alien oppression. The Korthik invasion had caused massive damage to human cities, but it had also provided Earth with thousands of advanced alien ships, weapons, and technology systems that were being reverse-engineered and integrated into humanity's growing military force. Admiral Jake Harrison stood in the construction bay of Luna Station, watching teams of human engineers and technicians working on the first ships of Earth's revenge fleet. The vessels combined the best of human design philosophy with captured alien technology, creating warships that would be completely unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen before. "How many ships will be ready for the first wave?" Jake asked Chief Engineer Susan Martinez as she approached his observation platform. Susan had been leading the effort to integrate alien technology with human systems, and her work would determine how quickly Earth could take the fight to enemy territory. Susan smiled as she gestured toward the construction bays filled with nearly completed warships. "We'll have 50 ships ready within 2 months, Admiral. Each one carries enough firepower to match a Korthik battlecruiser, but with human tactical flexibility and adaptability built into every system. The aliens won't know what hit them." The ships being constructed at Luna Station represented everything humanity had learned from 6 months of warfare against a technologically superior enemy. Human engineers had taken alien weapons and power systems, then redesigned them to work with human tactical doctrine and strategic thinking. The result was a new class of warship that combined overwhelming firepower with the unpredictability that had made human forces so effective against Korthik invasion. Lieutenant Kate Harrison, now promoted to squadron commander after her heroic actions during the invasion, walked through the pilot training facility where Earth's best aviators were learning to fly captured alien fighters. Kate had been among the first humans to master Korthik flight systems, and her insights were helping other pilots adapt to technology that operated on completely different principles from human aircraft. "The key is not to think like them," Kate explained to a group of trainee pilots as they studied alien fighter controls. "Their ships are faster and more maneuverable than anything we've ever built, but they're designed for pilots who follow rigid tactical doctrine. We can use that against them by doing things no Korthik pilot would ever attempt." Kate's students were learning to fly alien technology with human instincts and creativity. They practiced maneuvers that would be impossible according to Korthik flight doctrine, developing tactics that would confuse and overwhelm enemy pilots who expected their opponents to follow logical, predictable patterns. Meanwhile, deep in the research facilities beneath Earth's surface, Dr. Gary Stone worked on the next generation of computer viruses that would be carried by humanity's revenge fleet. His programs were designed to infiltrate entire planetary defense networks and turn alien worlds' own security systems against them. When human ships arrived at Korthik colonies, they would find planets whose defenses had already been compromised by weapons they never saw coming. The 17 surviving ships of the Korthik invasion fleet finally reached the edge of hegemony. Space after months of limping through the galaxy with their desperate message. As soon as they entered alien territory, Dan Parker's modified communication systems activated and began broadcasting humanity's warning to every Korthek world simultaneously. The message was simple but terrifying in its implications. Admiral Jake Harrison appeared on screens throughout Korthek space, standing on the bridge of a captured alien dreadnought with the wreckage of the invasion fleet visible through the windows behind him. His words would echo through the nightmares of every alien who heard them. "I am Admiral Jake Harrison of the Earth Defense Corps," the message began. "Your invasion fleet came to our world expecting an easy conquest. 17 ships out of 9,900 have survived to carry this message home. We know about every world you have conquered and every species you have enslaved. We are coming to free them all. This is not a threat. This is a promise. Earth remembers." As the message spread throughout Korthek territory, humanity's revenge fleet prepared to depart from Earth orbit. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when an advanced civilization made the mistake of threatening a species that refused to accept defeat. The invasion of Earth was over, but the liberation of the galaxy was just beginning.